The Most High is the best, best, best. Ain't nobody greater. Help you through your test, test, test. Ain't nobody greater. He's never gonna walk in his eyes. He never shut you down. He won't let you hit the ground. Twice. Ain't nobody greater. Ain't nobody greater. Ain't nobody greater.
Good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, Orlando with YouTube, with Orlando Keeping It Simple. Good morning. How is everybody doing this morning? I hope your day is going well. I hope that the Most High has given you everything that your heart desires. I hope that He has blessed you over and abundantly with the things that you have asked for in His name. I hope that you have been given everything that you hope for. I hope the Most High has been really truly blessing you. That's all I can say, really. I hope that He has really been truly blessing you and opening your eyes up to His wisdom and knowledge and understanding of who He is and what He have done and what He continue to do. I hope that He does that, and I hope He's continuing to do that. My week has been somewhat okay. I did a couple of things this week that I'm in observance of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, just trying to understand what the Most High is saying and what He's doing. The week of Unleavened Bread. And just trying to figure out some things. And yesterday I went down to Montgomery, Alabama, to the Legacy Museum, and it was a very eye-opening experience, because sometimes we think we know the truth about certain things, but in actuality we don't know the truth about certain things. But I bought me a t-shirt from there yesterday, and this is the symbolization of the American flag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make me about 3 or 4 more of these shirts with the same symbolizations of the flag, but I'm going to bring out things. Like it says, from enslavement to mass incarceration, which symbolizes the American flag. That's what America in this country has done to Hebrew or African American people. They have put us in mass incarceration. But they say make America great again. So what I'm going to do is start bringing out some antagonizing t-shirts to challenge the concept and the thought process of the people who wear those shirts with the American flag on it saying make America great again. I'm going to bring out my own t-shirts. And that's what I'm going to do to be able to challenge their thought process, because how can America be great again when they have mass incarceration of people? How can America be great again when they have intentionally destroyed families? How can America be great again where they have intentionally put people in prison for the profits, for benefits, for pay. Yesterday, I was talking to this quote unquote Jewish woman. She said, how can you all bring your people down here to look at some horrific things like this when they tell their children about the Holocaust every year? And they make sure that their children understand that they understand the Holocaust, but we should not be telling our children about what happened in here in the Americas. So, she went on to say that this is some horrific stuff, and this is bad, this is terrible. When 80% of the slave owners was Jewish. And she said, this is terrible, this is horrible. I don't see how you all can bring your kids down here to see things like this. But I'm saying to myself, we should. And we should continue. We should take our children to historical sites so that they can understand their history, not just from starting from America, not just from the 1619, but also we should teach our children about the truth, about who we are, where we came from, where we at today. We should teach our people stuff. We should teach them the truth so they can be able to stand and live. And things like that. And then she said, I asked her a question. I said, do you think they should go? I said, do you think that they should be releasing those people? I said, our people got incarcerated for those people, for selling marijuana, but now they're able to go buy marijuana on every corner, probably in Colorado and probably in a lot of states. And she said, I'm sure they're going to overturn it. I said, it depends on how much money they made off the process first, off the inmates first. She said, that's another story, But she understands the concept of why those wild brothers and sisters have been incarcerated. She understands that. She understands the process of why they've been incarcerated. But she didn't want to expound on that. But, if you all live in a local area, I would suggest that you go down to Montgomery, Alabama and visit the Legacy Museum. Some of the facts are true, some of them are not true. But majority of the information is very valid. And I think you need to take your kids down there to see it. And have a talk with their children about it, your offspring about it, so that they can realize the truth. So they can walk in the truth. Quit hiding it from them. Quit just telling them the story of Dr. King and he had a dream and Rosa Parks. Quit telling them those stories because there's more to the history of it. There's more to our history. But let me read something and then I'm going to go on into it. Let me go ahead and read Exodus chapter 20. But I just wanted you all to see the shirt. From enslavement to mass incarceration. That's what I got yesterday down in Montgomery, Alabama. I would suggest that if you live in driving areas. Some people, I met this pastor from Texas yesterday, and they came from Houston, Texas to visit that site. And he said and he was European, he said the hardest thing about me is telling the truth to my people. He said, because if I told the truth to my people, they'll walk out of the congregation, they'll walk out of the church because they don't want to hear it. And a lot of people don't want to hear the truth because the simple fact is it is disturbing to them to realize that they had the capabilities of burning somebody that was alive, and they took their children to an event where they literally hung a person. They advertised a mob lynching, and everybody should come and watch the person who's being lynched bring their children there to watch the person get lynched. They had advertisements about this. They had articles. People let out children out of schools early so they can go see this lynching of a black man. This is what they did. This is actually what they did. They allowed schools to be let out early, and families took baskets and watched men and women get lynched from a tree on some they take from a lie. They literally did that. And they don't want to realize that they don't want to realize that my character was so out of whack that I took my children down to watch a lynching. Not necessarily understanding that the capacity of their mindset. Not understanding that how can I, as a person, take my child down to watch another person get killed. They was mentally abusing their children from today's standards. And they did not even understand the capacity of what they was doing to their children. But they justified it because they said that, oh, these people are not human, but they operating off hatred. But also the Most High said to me, okay, he said, if they're going to condone slavery and say that these people are 3/4 of a person and they're not even human, or they're just property, and we're going to choose and treat them as property, and they're not human and they have tails, what is the mindset of the person who's laying and sleeping with those people? Who are they considering to be not human, but property or animals? But they're laying with those same people and creating babies with those same people who they're saying that they're not human, or they're just property. What is the mindset of these people who's laying with the slaves, who treat these people as nothing? What is the mindset of those people? What is the thought process of those people who's sleeping with people who they treat as nothing, as property, as cattle? What is the mindset of those people? That's what the Most I've been saying to me, and he said, so sometimes we have to understand these things. So it's like, wow, the Most High was dealing with me on that. But let me read Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. And see, that's the understanding that we have to come up with, is what was the mindset of the slave owner? What was the mindset of the mob that used to go into the buildings and lynch these people because of what they woman said somebody else did? Some men used to get lynched because the simple fact is they didn't call a European man sir. Some people used to get lynched just because they was passing a note to a European woman. Or some people used to get lynched because the simple fact is that they was married to a European woman. The whole town of Rosewood or Tulsa was burned down because of a lie. The whole town of Rosewood was burned down because of a lie. What is the mindset of those people? And see, sometimes we have to deal with that reality, and we have to walk in that truth. We have to walk in that reality and say, damn, this is really what it is. These people lynch my people just because. Not because it was the truth, not because they did something that was wrong. It's just because of the perception, the viewpoint of how they saw people. How they saw you as a people or a person. They treated you on their perception of how they wanted to treat you, how they saw you. So, when I look at why the families are broken, why our families are broken and why things happen in our community, it stems back from slavery. It stems back from slavery where they were intentionally let me pray real fast. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you. I will give you all the honor and the glory and the praise. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory forever and ever, so let it be. Exodus 20, chapter 1 through 17. It says, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Els before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy works. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah bless the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So, when I was looking at the things on how they did the slaves, they would separate a man from the woman, and then from the children, they would separate the children from the family. They would do that intentionally to destroy the family. But today, we don't understand why our families are so destroyed. Why it's so easy for a brother to be able to pick up and just leave his family. Why a mother does not really truly care. Why we treat our children the way we do. And sometimes we never pay attention to our conversations. We never listen to what we say, because sometimes we say, you act just like your dad, or you just act just like your mama, or you look just like your mama, you got your mama and dad hair, you got this and you got that. But sometimes we just think it because we was raised in the same house as our parents. Sometimes we just think it's all of this and all of that. And when you get a chance, turn to John chapter 8. I'm finna get off my soapbox in a minute. John chapter 8, 31 through 37. John chapter 8, 31 through 37. And it's like sometimes we think that, it's just hypothetical. It's just a coincidence that, yeah, this is happening. Yeah, that's happening. I got my dad here. I got my dad's behavior. We also don't realize that, we don't recognize consciously that, man, I got high blood pressure because my grandma got high blood pressure. I got sickle cell because it's in my bloodline. That's genetics. We genetically get things passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. We genetically get these things passed down, but unconsciously we don't pay attention to it. Or subconsciously we pay attention to it, but consciously we don't. Or logically we pay attention. We don't pay attention to it, but logically we do, however you want to say it. But let me read you something. website called Better Help. This article came out on March. Man, it just came out too. This article just came out March 31, 2022. What is inherited behavior? Inherited means to pass down behaviors. Our behaviors greatly influence our lives. We usually think about behavior as something that we have complete control over. That is true to an extent, but changing a behavior can be difficult, especially when it's inherent behavior. Means that a lot of the times the way we act is genetically in our bloodline. It is in our DNA the reason why we behave the way we behave. And it has been passed down from generations to generations to generations to generations. Okay, it says evolutionary psychologists study how our mind works based on certain processes that benefits the human species. Evolutionary psychologists divide behaviors in two main groups: inherent behaviors and learned behaviors. Learned behavior is the thing that are taught by your parents, teachers, and members of the community, or behaviors that you teach yourself. So what is inherent behavior? Inherent behaviors are behaviors that are passed down genetically. Our genes control things like our hair type, color, our eyes color, and our height, but we don't usually think of controlling our behavior. That's partly because most of our behaviors are learned rather than inherited. However, some behaviors are so beneficial to the human species that the ancient behaviors that mastered them were able to survive, living long enough that they could then pass those traits down to their offspring, and so on. These are our inherent behaviors. While most scientists agree that some behaviors are controlled by genetics, which ones are controlled and to what degree is a topic of frequent debate. Studying inherent behavior is difficult because studying genes is difficult. But what they're trying to say is that our behaviors subconsciously or genetically been passed down from generations to generation. And see, sometimes we got to understand why they allow certain things on TVs and why they don't allow certain things on TV. We got to understand why, when we look at movies, why certain movies are portrayed one way and why certain movies are not portrayed in other ways, like you very seldom see a black hero. Why you don't necessarily see a black hero compared to a white hero? Why you do not see a lot of different things on TV. You got to understand why, because the simple fact is it can be instilled in a person through the vision of the eyes. We got to understand that this realm that we're living in is more bigger than what we think it is. It's not just necessarily, oh bam, it's just that. No, it's not. It's so huge that sometimes we can't even comprehend it, but those people behind the scenes have understand and psychologically put these things out here to control the masses in the direction in which they want it to go. It's just like when you look at most movies these days, they use black people as drug dealers or negative. So they continue to use that image, and what that image is doing, it is creating behavior patterns through society. Consciously, they're developing a viewpoint of a specific group of people through those movies, and how we view those movies is how we're going to view those people consciously out here in the real world. But consciously we're not paying attention to that, but it is storing in our subconscious memory that, hey, most saviors of the world today are European people, which in actuality is not true. Most good fathers are European men, but statistics say that most African American men or black men are some of the better fathers on the earth because of whatever it is. But they're not stating that, but statistics shows that we're better fathers than most. But they're not telling us that, but they portray us as a negative father on a TV screen, but in actuality we're much different than what they're predicting. But when we go to John chapter 8 verse 31 and 32, I'm going to deal with this, and then I only got about an hour left, so I'm going to go ahead and go on. But I want us to understand that most of our behavior, some of our behavior patterns are learned behaviors. And we learn those behaviors through TVs, magazines, movies, from communities, and so forth and so forth. But a portion of our behaviors are in our DNA. Okay? In John 8:30 and 31 and 32, and it reads, Then said Jesus to those Jews which believe on him, If ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, We be Abraham's seed. We were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? See, right here, they're telling you that they weren't in Egypt. These people right here, these Pharisees and scribes and Sadducees, they weren't in Egypt. That's what they're telling you. We weren't in Egypt. We were never enslaved. So they can't associate with the real true Hebrews. And Jesus answered them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but Son abideth forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. He said, I know that you are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word has no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my Father, and ye do that which you have seen with your father. Talking about the devil. But the key verse is, Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And the title of the text today is, What is the truth? What is the truth? What is the truth? Not your truth, but what is the truth? The truth is only one truth. That's why I have the shirt, From Enslavement to Mass Incarceration. That is the truth. In 1960, there were probably about 40,000 people incarcerated, but now, I get a number between 40 to 80,000 people incarcerated, but now it's over 2.5 million people incarcerated. Okay, so what is the truth? Okay, that is the title of the text. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. What's the truth? What truth? What is the truth? What's your, not your truth, but what is the truth? Okay, liberate. Liberate means to release from restraint or bondage, to set free. We need to be liberated. From what? From bondage, mentally and physically bondage. Okay, disciples. Disciples mean one who follow another for the purpose of learning. A disciple is a person who's going to follow another person to learn, to be a student, to be a learner, to be a scholar, to teach, to train, to bring up, to convert to doctrine or principles. Means that if you want to call yourself a disciple, you want to be a student, you want to be a learner, you want to be a scholar. You don't just want to be I don't know what some of these people call disciples, followers of Christ. What is a follower of Christ? What is a disciple? It means that you got to educate yourself to be a disciple. You got to educate, you got to be a student. Means that you have to learn. It means that you got to equip yourself mentally how to be a follower of Christ. Not necessarily to do it physically, because what comes first is the mind, and then the mind, then everything else will follow after that. So when Yeshua was talking to his disciples, talking to the Pharisees, and it was just a whole situation, because he was trying to tell them the truth on how you can have everlasting life and how you can have everlasting peace. You know, how can you have this? How can you have this on the earth? How can you live this way? How can you live in the truth? That's the actual question. How can you live in the actual truth? Because they have tricked and hoodwinked us and made us think one way. Um, they have tricked and hoodwinked us to make us think one way so much that we're not even students of the Bible. We're not students of the Word. And I guess it's because Grandmama used to say, no, don't question God. Don't question the pastor. Don't question him. See, that was inherited behavior that was passed down from generation to generation through your DNA or through learned behavior. Don't question God. And see, when you read the text, Moses and Most High had conversations all the time. Moses was saying, what, and they used to have go back conversations. Like my wife questioned Most High this morning. He came out last night and said, nobody know the day nor the hour. Nobody know the day nor the hour. So she said, what shall I do? But what was passed down from generation to generation is, don't question God. So my wife should have just laid there and said, See, when we study text, there's always been conversation between the disciples and the Most High. But passed down from generations, no, don't question him. Let him do what he gonna do. Don't question the pastor. The pastor can tell you to go jump off the edge of a cliff. But your mama telling him, don't question him. But this has been passed down. Let me say, okay, let's go to verse 31. Then said Jesus, or Yeshua, to those Jews which believe on him, if ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. Disciples means students, learner. That's what disciples means. You're my student indeed. You're my learner. I'm teaching you the things that I know. So when I teach you the things that I know, you can go out there and do what I taught you to do. Okay, but I want to focus on the word continue. It said, if you continue in my word. The word continue means to move, live, state of being. If we continue in his word, if we continue to walk in the truth, because this is actually the truth. From mass incarceration, not from enslavement to mass incarceration. That is the truth. That's what this country have done. From mass incarceration, from slavery to mass incarceration. That is the reality. That's our truth. If we continue to walk in knowing this, we could be all right. But are we gonna really walk in that truth? Do we really want to pinch ourselves and say, man, this is what it really is? Because if we say that what it really is, would we really do the things that we've been doing? If we know that they intentionally separated our families in slavery, and the reason why our families are so dysfunctional now is because of what they did back in slavery, and it has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Will we walk in that truth? Let us go to John 14, John 15, 4 through 9. And it says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. No more can ye except ye abide in me. He says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. I am the vine, and ye are the branches. He that abide in me, and I in him, the same bring forth much fruit. Or without me ye cannot do nothing. Let me go to this for a second. It says, I am the vine. See, grandmama was the vine, and ye are the branches. And your mama and you are the branches of your grandmama. And see, when your grandmama told your mama, don't question God and don't question the pastor, what did your mama tell you? Even when your mama said, we're going to celebrate Easter, even so, when your grandmama said, we're going to celebrate Easter, your mama celebrated Easter because of what your grandmama did. It says that the same bring forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. See, we produce the same things that our mama did, and our mama produced the same things that our grandmama did. Because we abided in the world. We abided in what the world was doing. So we produced what the world wanted us to produce, which was a lie. That's why he said, abide in me. See, he says, you got to choose either you love Christ or you love the world. Because when you love the world, you're at war with Christ. You got to choose who you're going to serve. So at some point, when we start dealing with the truth, we leave the world because the world is full of lies. Because nothing about the world is true. They only been giving you lies and manipulations. Okay, it says, verse 6, if a man abideth not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Okay, meaning they're being wasted away. They're no good to the Most High. Okay. Everything that we have been doing that was passed down from grandmama to mama to us, has it really benefited the Most High? Either major holidays, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, and Thanksgiving, a major holiday. We spend all our money at those times there, giving it to the world. And nothing, it has nothing to do with the Most High. Everything that about us and what we do on those days has nothing to do with the Most High. All of those days are man-made days. Man-made holidays. See, I bought this book last week called The Columbus and the Quest for Jerusalem. Okay? That's for Thanksgiving. Christopher Columbus. They knew what Christopher Columbus was doing. Okay, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. I read some stuff. I'm gonna see, can I find? I might have closed it up this morning. Let me see if I can get it back. Okay. Okay. It's so much stuff. Is that when we don't abide in the Most High, we're no good to Him, but we're good for the world, which is nothing. But are we actually walking in the truth as if what we're celebrating and what we're doing is actually benefiting anybody but the world? Verse 7. If ye abide in me and my word abide in you, ye shall ask whatever you will, and it shall be done unto you. Wherein is my Father glorified? See, everything that we do, we got to glorify Him and how we live. But if we live according to what the world do, we don't glorify the Most High. We're glorifying the world. Every holiday that we celebrate, New Year's, we celebrate the world. Valentine's Day, that's a worldly day. Easter, worldly day. Memorial Day, worldly day. There's nothing spiritual about that. That's nothing glorifying the Most High at all. It said, here is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples or learners. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. Continue to live in my love. See, we have to live in the truth. It's like I was looking at somebody told me, somebody put on Facebook, is that we teach our kids about Christmas and Easter, knowing that it ain't no such thing as Santa Claus. We teach our children how to lie directly, but expect for them not to turn around and lie to us. But then tell them, don't lie to me. But you've been lying to your children from the very beginning. How you living in the truth when you're lying to your children saying that Santa Claus is a white man and coming out of a chimney and you living in an apartment in the ghetto? How you gonna come in your house? Through the window? Do you really think a fat European man with a red suit with some reindeers gonna come through your window in the ghetto? And you giving credit to somebody else when you don't work hard all the time, and you don't struggle and work overtime to get these toys for your kids, and you get a credit to somebody else. But then you turn around and tell your children Santa Claus gave it to them, but then you turn around and tell you know you lying, but then you turn around and tell your children, you better not lie to me. But what kind of fruit are we producing when we lie? I am the vine and ye are the branches. He that abide in me, I in him, the same bring forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. For if a man abideth not in me, meaning the truth, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and man gathered them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. How we live is letting us know what we represent. How we live our life tell us whether we're abiding in the truth or whether we're abiding in a lie. Let's go to Acts. Acts 14 and 22. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the belief, and that we must, through much tribulations, enter into the kingdom of El. And when they had ordained them elders in every church, and had prayed with fasting, they commend them to the Lord, and on whom they believe. You only live by what you believe in. Your lifestyle represents what you believe. And your lifestyle represents what you believe, and what you believe is your truth. But actually, is it the truth? It says, confirming the souls of the learners, or the Talmudims, and exhorting them to continue in the belief. And exalting them to continue in the belief. And that we must, through much tribulations, enter into the kingdom. Meaning that you got to understand your reality. When you're a true follower of the Messiah, your reality is that you're going to go through some stuff. You're going to really go through it. You're going to go through a lot of things in life. That's your truth. Your truth is that, yes, I'm going to get a higher interest rate than my counterpart. That's what you got to deal with. Your truth is that, yes, they don't give me, I don't have access to money like somebody else does. That's your truth. That's the truth. Because Thursday, I was talking to this doctor from South Carolina. He said, man, do you know that one of my counterparts had just lost his house, was in credit cards up to thousands of dollars. He didn't have nothing. Do you know that he went to the bank and got another $30,000 loan? He said, but that couldn't be me. He said, but my counterpart went and got another $30,000 loan to bail him out of the situation that he was in. And the guy from South Carolina went to his counterpart and said, you know why you got that loan, right? He said, yeah, I know why I got it. He said, I got it because I'm white. He didn't get it on merit. He didn't get it on credit. He didn't get it on anything, but he got it because of the truth. Because of who he was. Not because of credentials. And see, that is one of the things that we have to realize in life. That the world been giving us a lie all our life. This world has been giving us a lie all our life. Let me read you some. This book here. This book here. Right? This book here. Okay? On page 75. Talking about the transatlantic slave trade out of Africa. So the story goes, some 12.5 million Africans was taken from their homes and forced aboard slave ships that were destined for the New World. About 10.7 million people survived the horror of the Middle Passage between 1526 and 1866, only to end up in bondage on sugar, rice, and cotton and tobacco plantations throughout the Americas and the Caribbean. The transatlantic slave trade is the largest forced migration in history. But black people are the indigenous to the Americas. Black Native Americans are not the result of the so-called Red Indians mixing with slaves. The so-called Red Indians come from the mixing with European colonists and the Asians that were in America before Columbus. The first Native American was the Mongolian Tartarians, a European anthropologist, was one of the originators of out of the African theory. Never had an historical or archaeological or anthropologist proof that black people of the Americas ever derived from West and North Africa. Consequently, craft the theory of that black people arrived in America from the transatlantic slave trade, which is allegorically brought in more than 10 million African slaves, according to the National Archives of Spain and the Smithsonian records. There was no evidence to prove 70,000 slave ships with black Africans ever slaved to the Americas. Where are the slave ships that brought all those Africans from Africa to America? And see, yesterday when we went to the museum, it said in certain articles that some of the native people were shipped from Boston down there to the Caribbeans. They took the native from America, a Turtle Island, and shipped them down there to the Caribbeans. But they're never telling you this. That's the truth. They told you that because they didn't want you to stake claim to this land. So you can say you're from Congos and from all the other countries over there in Africa. And not let you realize that, hey, I'm here. My family's Cherokee. If my family Cherokee, that means I was here before Christopher Columbus was here. So why am I staking claim to Africa when my family's Cherokee? Or Blackfoot or whatever? That's the truth. And we got to continue to walk in the truth. That's what the word continue means, to move, live, be in the truth. We can't take on something that was given to us when we don't even know if it's the actual truth or not. It's like, turn to Zechariah. I'm all over the place this morning. But I want us to understand something. Zechariah 8. I'm going to read 7 first. Zechariah chapter 13, verse 7 and 8. And see, a lot of times when you go to funerals, right? A lot of times when you go to funerals, you'll hear people say, well, they're going to see the Lord. They could have just killed, sold dope to everybody. Killed all 50 people. Or they're going to see the Lord. They're going to see the Lord. They ain't going to see the Lord. This person just murdered somebody, raped a child. They're going to see the Lord. But in Zechariah 13, 7 and 8 it says, awaken, O sword, against my shepherds, and against the man that is my fellow. Say unto Yahuwah of hosts, smite the shepherds, I mean kill them. And the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, said Yahuwah, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Most High said, everybody ain't gonna make it. That's the truth. Let me go to the Apocryphers. 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, verse 61. 60 and 61. Because we got to understand the truth is everybody ain't gonna make it to heaven. Everybody ain't gonna see the promised land. Everybody's not gonna be there. That's a story of hope. Hope is you wishing for something that ain't gonna never happen. Okay, 2nd Ezra chapter 8, chapter 7, verse 60 and 61. It says, so also will the judgment that I have promised, for I will rejoice over the few. Listen to this. I will rejoice over the few who shall be saved, because it is they who have made my glory to prevail now. means that the few people that who is obeying the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High, we're letting everybody else see it. It says, and through them my name now been honored. The few are honoring the Most High. Everybody who's doing what the word do, you're dishonoring the word of the Most High. But those who are doing what the Most High do, you're honoring His word. You're letting His glory come to fruition. But those who doing what the world say do, you're dishonoring it. Now listen to that. Listen to this. He said, I will not grieve over the great number. Listen to this. I will not grieve over the great number of those who perish. For it is they who are now like a mist and are similar to a flame and smoke. They are set on fire and burn hotly and extinguished. The Most High is not going to grieve over those people who do not obey His law, statutes, and commandment. He's not going to even care nothing about you. And see, this is why they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible, out of the Christian Bible, because they wanted to portray an image of God is love. The Most High is love. What is love? Love is correction also. But the truth is, no, everybody ain't going to make it. Everybody is not going to be worshiping the Most High. Everybody is not going to be able to have eternal life. That's the truth. You're not going to have eternal life if you're cheating on your wife. You're not going to have eternal life if you're lying to your husband and stealing money from your husband. You're not going to have eternal life if you do mischievous things. That's foolishness to think that. Because if you really understand Ephesians 6 and 12, you will understand that this world is controlled by the wicked. And if you think that this world cares anything about you, you're crazy. Because if this world cared anything about you as a Hebrew or Black American or whatever you want to call yourself, they wouldn't continue to send over $16 billion to Ukraine and give you nothing. They gave you a museum. They gave you a Civil Rights Act or a Civil Rights Bill. Let's go back to John 8. See, you got to walk the truth. And that's the hardest part about life. If you got a Cherokee Indian in your blood, Seminole Indian or Blackfoot Indian, whatever you want to call it, you can't say you're from Africa. You got to say where you're from. I'm from here. Do some research in your lineage. Don't go by them DNA tests. Because they're trying to make you not stay claiming this land when it actually is your land. John 8:32. And see, in the book of Jubilees, right, I read this before, I'm going to read it to you again, but then I'm going to jump to another chapter and another verse. In Jubilees chapter 8, verse 29 and 30, it says, this is the land which came forth for Japhet and his sons as the portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and his children. Listen to that, his sons. Listen to that. For the generations forever, 5 great islands and a great land in the north. But it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Sham is neither hot nor cold, but a blend mixture, cold and hot. Everybody was given a portion of land. Everybody was given something. Just like when you're fixing your children, your offspring, their plates to eat, right? Or you gave them their bedrooms. You said, this is your bedroom, this is your bedroom, this is your bedroom. Now y'all got your own thing. Y'all do whatever y'all want to do in y'all bedroom. Y'all divide it the way you want to. so forth and so forth. Nobody was supposed to go over into somebody else's bedroom because the simple fact is they already been assigned their portion. But once one tried to go and live in the other and the other go and live in the other, it's a problem, it's a conflict. And see, that's how the Most High designed it here in the Bible, in the book of Jubilees. If you go to chapter 9, verse 14, it reads, this is the truth. It reads in Jubilees chapter 9, verse 14, and thus the sons of Noah divided unto their sons in the presence of Noah their father, and he bound them all by an oath, imprecating a curse on everyone that sought to seize the portion which had not fallen to him by his lot. Meaning that everybody who took a portion of somebody else's land, they was going to be cursed. See, they don't tell us that. The truth is, we shouldn't be fighting over land because we're already given land. The Asians got the Asia. Europe got Europe. Africa got Africa. And the Hebrews had America. Nobody was supposed to, the Europeans didn't supposed to come into Africa. Asia didn't supposed to come over to Africa. Africans didn't supposed to go to Europe. And so forth and so forth. Everybody supposed to dwell in their own land. Was it okay to barter and trade with other continents? Yes. But they don't tell you. No. It wasn't supposed to be no invasions. That's what all the fighting in the Bible was about. That's the truth. That's the truth. And they've been telling us as if Ukraine is okay with this war and so forth, America, Europe. No, all this stuff is crazy. John 8 and 32. Ye shall know the truth. What is the know? What do know the truth means to separate? Know the truth. The word know means to be discerned, means to separate. You got to separate what's actually a lie and what's actually the truth. Know means to separate, basically. To separate one from the other means to actually come to realization and recognize what it is. You got to recognize what it is for what it is. And because we don't recognize, or we don't really want to sit down to decipher the truth, that's why we continue to walk in wickedness. Let's go to Psalms 25 and 5. See, who gives us the truth is the Most High. So we got to continue to walk in the Most High's truth. It says, lead me in thy truth and teach me. Who's going to do that? The Most High is going to do that. For thou art the God, the heir of my salvation. It says, lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the heir of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the days. Remember, O Yahuwah, thy tender mercy and thy loving kindness, for they have been ever of old. The truth comes from the Most High. The truth don't come from man. The truth only comes from the Most High. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah 2 and 3. And it reads, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of El of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways. The only person that can teach you the truth is the Most High. The only person that can teach you the truth is the Most High. The only person that can teach you the truth is the Most High. He said, teach you his ways, and we will walk in his path, for out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. How many of you all remember they say that Jacob stole the birthright of Esau. Jacob stole the birthright of Esau. Jacob stole the birthright of Esau. That's what they say, right? And they give us that interpretation, and then they use the word Jacob means surplanter and Esau means red, and they just depict Jacob as being a bad person in the story or in the depiction of the text. But let me tell you something out of the legends of the Jews. The legends of the Jews complete. Let me read you something. Okay. Because when we don't know the whole story, it's just like a lie, really. Because it's never in completion, because they're giving you segments of something. And when they're giving you segments of something, you can't really make a fair judgment because you only got a portion of it. Okay? Let me read you something. It's talking about the reason why. They never tell you the reason why. Why did Abraham like Esau? And why did Rebekah like Jacob? But let me read you something. This is why Esau and Jacob was little. Their characters could not be judged properly. Okay, they were like the myrtle and the thorn bush, which look alike in the early stages of their growth. After they have obtained full size, the myrtle is known for its fragrance and the thorn bush by its thorns. In their childhood, both brothers went to school, but when they reached their 13th year and were of age, their ways departed. Jacob continued his studies in Jacob continued in his studies, and Esau abandoned himself to idolatry and immoral life, but were hunters of men. Esau tried to capture them in order to turn them away from God, and Jacob to turn them towards God. See, we don't understand why Rebekah did what she did to get Jacob to be able to get the birthright, because she understood that Esau was a wicked child. Esau was a wicked child. But we don't get that story from the Bible because it don't go into more details about it. But the truth is, Esau was wicked. That's the reason why he didn't get the birthright. That's the reason why Jacob got it, because he was a studied man. He was favored in the Most High eye. He didn't trick nobody. It just that the Most High, Rebekah saw what Esau was doing, and she didn't want to give him the birthright because she knew how the world would be. It would be the way it is now. And then it says, his hypocritical conduct made Isaac believe that his firstborn son was extremely poised. Father, he would ask Isaac, what is the tithing on the straws and salt? The question made him appear God-fearing in the eyes of his father, but because these two products are the very ones that are exempt from tithing. Isaac failed to notice, too, that his oldest son gave him forbidden fruits to eat. What he took for flesh of young goats was dog meat. See, we don't know that part of it. We don't understand it. The reason why Esau didn't get it. Because Esau was wicked from the very beginning. But they say that Jacob was a surplanter. No, Jacob didn't trick nobody. See, when we've been told a half story, we can't decipher the whole truth. We can't decipher what is actually good or bad because they're only giving you portions of it. Okay, now it says Rebekah was more clear-sighted. She knew her sons as they really were, and therefore her love for Jacob was exceedingly great. The oftener she heard his voice, the deeper grew her affections for him. Abraham agreed with her. He also loved his grandson Jacob, for he knew that in him his name and his seed would be called. And he said unto Rebekah, my daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for a blessing in the midst of the children of men, and for the glory of the whole seed of Shem. Let me see something. Okay, this is the reason why Esau also didn't get it. It says 5 things that Esau did. 5 things that Esau did, the reason why he didn't get it. Okay, it says the men slain by Esau on this day were Nimrod and two of his men. A long-standing feud existed between Esau and Nimrod, because the mighty hunters before the Lord was jealous of Esau, who also devoted himself to the chase. Once when he was hunting, it happened that Nimrod was separate from his people. Only 2 men were with him. Esau, who lay in the ambush, noticed his isolation and waited until he should pass his converts. Then he threw himself upon Nimrod suddenly and fell on him and 2 of his companions, and who hastened to his succor. The outcry of the latter brought the attendants of Nimrod to the spot where he lay dead. But it was 5 things that Esau did where he could not get the promise. But we didn't know that. We only being told something. Esau was a killer. He didn't appreciate his birthright. He lied. He was a conniving person. He was all these wicked things, but we did not told that. The truth is Esau didn't deserve it, because of the type of person he was. That's the truth. But when we don't get all this other information, when we're being told, no, don't question the Bible, don't question the pastor, we can't really know the truth. We can't really understand, we can't get the whole concept of the word. See, you got to go into the lost book of the Bible and the forgotten books to understand how old Mary was when Joseph came and got her. We got to understand the traditions of the customs at that time. If we don't understand that, we're going to misinterpret the truth. We're not going to know the truth on why this happened the way it happened and the way it was. If you can't live in discernment, you can't be released from bondage. The first verse 31 in John 8 in John is talking about how you live. If you can't live in discernment, you can't be released from bondage. Those are my 3 points. Live, discern, and be released. The word release means to reset from restraint of any kind of physical or moral conditions. Let's go to Psalms. Psalms 119. Psalms 119 and 45. It says, let me go to verse 44. It says, so shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever. That's the only way you can live and walk in truth. It says, I will walk at liberty, at freedom, at will, for I seek thy precepts. We have to continue, if we want to live in freedom, or we want to be released, if we want to, in order for us to have salvation, we got to be able to live in discernment and release what we think that is not possible. Release what we think is a lie. Okay? Depend means to be subject to power of. Release means to be restrained from any kind of physical or moral condition. Right now, we depend on the powers that be to give us the information, which is a lie. But in order for us to be able to be released, means to be set from restraint of any kind of physical or moral conditions, we have to have discernment. Discernment means to separate by the eye or by the understanding. See, the Most High didn't want us to be dumb and stupid people. That's why it says in 2 Timothy 7, 2 and 15, steady, 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 steady. Because, let me go to Revelation. If we really actually study, and discern, will we have a white European Jesus on our door mantles in the house, and picture frames in our house, when scriptures say his head and his hair was white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes was as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. That's the pigmentation, that's the color. As if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Oh, no one know the day nor the hour. Is the truth their truth, or is it true what you really study for yourself? I can go home, but I can't. I've been studying all morning. When they talk about the fourth part in the Bible, the fourth part of the world is the Americas. America is being judged at this moment because of what they did. That's something we got to understand. That is the truth. So your salvation is in Proverbs 4 and 7. Your salvation. Your salvation is this. Wisdom is the principal thing. Wisdom means to be skillful, act of knowledge, how you speak. This is your salvation. It's the principal thing. The principal thing means most important, first. Wisdom is the most important and the first thing that you ever should want to have. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. The word get in that means to possess it. Possess understanding. If you want to have salvation, get everything you need. Get the truth. Get the truth. Don't get what somebody told you. Go get it yourself. Go learn it for yourself.
That's the truth.
Quit allowing somebody to tell you what their truth is. Because the Jewish lady told me yesterday, she said, and you can see what's going on over in Ukraine, but she just didn't know who she was talking to. The same salute that the Roman Empire did is the same salute that the neo-Nazis do. The same salute that the Russians, the neo-Nazis do, is the same salute that the Roman Empire did with their soldiers. What is the truth? That's the question. What is the truth? In order for you to find out what the truth is, you got to discern, you got to live in it, and you got to release. Continue to discern so that you can release some of the baggage that ain't supposed to be. Christ said, you are a peculiar people. Why are you so special? Understand that. See, we only get fragments of stories. And then we got to make a complete interpretation of that fragment if we're not going to go out there and get other books. And think that when we get a complete interpretation, when we try to make a complete interpretation of that small text, we're making a correct interpretation, but we can't because we don't have other information to support that. Because you didn't know that the reason why Esau didn't get the birthright, he wasn't anointed because he was wicked. People don't talk about that. He just killed Nimrod. He didn't have no respect for his his birthright. He sold his father dog food. You wasn't told that. So when you understand all that, you be like, okay, now I understand why he didn't supposed to get it. I understand why Rebecca did what she did. But we're looking at Rebecca as a liar, but in actuality, Rebecca had a relationship with Abraham. And Abraham knew his seed. But when we only got a fraction of whatever it is, we're going to, oh, no. We look at our situation in America today, say, we just some bad people. No. They've been separating us from our family for a long time. Since we encountered them. They even separated us in 1492 in Spain. In the Spanish Inquisition. They've been separating the families for a long time. This ain't nothing new. This has been a practice. If you can destroy the family, you can destroy the culture. Well, let me pray so we can go. The title of the text again, what is the truth? Liberate. Liberate means release from restraint or bondage. To be set free. Disciples means a learner, a student, a scholar. To teach, to train, to convert. In order for you to be able to live, you got to have some discernment so that you can be able to release the garbage that you don't need to have. Your salvation comes in Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom in all things getting. Get understanding. That's your salvation. So, Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we thank you for everything you have done and what you continue to do. Abba, we thank you for just being you. Abba, we ask that you continue to help us and guide us and lead us and cover us. We ask that you continue to let us walk in the truth. Let us continue to be who you want us to be. Let us be able to do the things you want us to do. Let us get a clearer perspective of the teachings of your word. Because we understand there's so much information out here, and we cannot make a perfect decision or a right decision if we don't have all the information in front of us. So, Father, we ask that you continue to let us hear the way you want us to hear, see the way you want us to see, and speak the way you want us to speak. Abba, forgive us for the sins that we have committed knowingly and unknowingly. Forgive our fathers, our mothers, our children, and all our ancestors, Father. We ask that you continue to bless us and guide us and protect us. And all these things we pray. So let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. You all have a blessed and prosperous day. I love you all. Just keep walking in the truth. Have a blessed one.
Some people that's evil, and they wanna see your downfall. Cause you're in this truth and they don't care at all. They wanna cause you to stumble, lose your temper, come down to their level. You just really need to move out their way, cause that person being used by the devil. If you wanna live upright on the righteous path, you have to separate yourself from evil and wickedness. Separate yourself from evil and wickedness. And if you wanna seek the Most High and see His salvation and live righteously, separate yourself. Separate yourself from evil and wickedness. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 11 through 15. Decretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things, who leave the paths of uprightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil, and delight in the forwardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and they are forward in their paths. You say you want peace and joy,